We know for many centuries, Jews have lived in Morocco side by side with the Arabs, and even there are some Moroccans, Jewish Moroccans that have traced their roots to the destruction of the Jewish temple in Jerusalem, and some are even considered to be Sephardic Jews whose ancestors come from Spain and Portugal. Also, when you look at the Arabic spoken in Morocco, it's actually a Semitic language. Now, when you go to the Jewish word, this Jewish word called Koban, which comes from a very old Hebrew root word, the QRB. This QRB, I don't know how it's being pronounced, but it's spelled QRB, and it literally means in Hebrew, it means to draw closer, and you could pick out this cultural significance of the Krakeb, which is spelled with the Qraqeb, which is used to induce trance and kind of draw closer to the spirit. In music, which is a music for the Now people and the Moroccans. The Krakeb is used in legal spiritual ceremony, like Anu mentioned. It's a trance ceremony that help people draw closer to their ancestors and the spiritual world. So it's possible. It's just a possibility that the name of the instruments might have come from the Semitic root word that I mentioned earlier, the QRB. They added vowels, more vowels and consonants to make it have a proper pronunciation. But that QRB, which cannot be found in the standard Arabic dictionary, is there and is being used to name an instrument that is found among Arabic speaking people, which I mentioned also is also a Semitic language. So it's just a hypothesis I have, and that's kind of why I mentioned during the introduction that this cultural fusion that happened between West African groups that were brought from sub-Saharan Africa to to Morocco kind of fused with the already existing pre-Islamic cultures that were found there, which might have been the Jewish culture, and this fusion gave rise to the naming of this instrument that by these black Moroccans that is being used in our music. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, so yeah, it does make a lot of sense what you're saying and how you've traced it. There's certain words that do not exist in the Arabic language that have been found in a few of the current day Moroccan languages, and I think what your the hypothesis you've postulated is might be very much correct. And we know that before the Arabs came to Morocco, Morocco was made up of various other African cultures and Jewish cultures as well. So I tend to agree with what you've said, Kosi.
Thank you for that, Emmanuel. Yeah, no.
Yeah, Emmanuel, that's very true, and Kosi also. I just wanted to bring an historical view to this. You know that it's possible that these people are not necessarily Jewish, but they were proselytes. They're in the Jewish world then, let me put it like that. You are either a Gentile or a Jew. And then you see people, the Gentiles actually over years adopt the Jewish culture, and then they call them proselyte Jews, not because they were born Jewish, but they've come to adopt the culture, well, the language, and then their own style of worship. That's the laws of Moses, the Pentateuch, that they've come to adopt it, and then they observe all the religious laws and all that. But I must say that it's quite foreign. It's quite foreign. Trance is actually quite foreign in core religion of the Jews. It's if you look at the law of Moses, it's like spiritism, and it's the law is against it. So you might be looking at a blend of so many cultures that probably we are not seeing. It might be a cauldron of so many cultures that we are not even seeing. Because if you see that you are seeing the Jewish language in it, you are seeing Islam, which is Arabs, you are seeing the West African culture in it, you will just be surprised that there's so much more that is into it. Interestingly, you might even be seeing some European, especially around that edge in Europe, that borders between Africa, and that's Spain
Mm,
and Greece.
yeah.
Yes, Spain and Greece. You might also be seeing some borrowed culture in the Krakeb, in the Ghana music, which might not be very evident now because of the fusion that has happened over the years. Because really, for among the Jews, you can become a Jew without being born a Jew, but adopting the customs, the religion, the language, the way of life that the Jews live. And then you also see, if you look at it, during the Roman era and the Greek era also, you also see that the Jews were scattered around the world from the time of Babylonian captivity, them being taken to Babylon, that's present day Iraq, and then also them being scattered across the world. So it's possible that some of them had also even adopted some culture, but kept their language, the fabric of their language, but adopted the things that they found in those communities. And because let me just put the last example, because if you also look at dating to AD after Christ, and we have the apostles were in Jerusalem. The Bible record, let me make it as a reference, that there were Jews from all over the world in Jerusalem at that time, and they were hearing the apostles speak their language. They were hearing the disciples speak the language at the baptism of the Holy Spirit. So you can imagine people like that. And then you also have the historical account of the Ethiopian Enoch coming to worship in Jerusalem and going back to Ethiopia, and he was the queen of Ethiopia's head of treasury. So you can see that it's possible this we are looking at a cauldron of so many culture that people probably will not scratch it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I just wanted to speak to the spiritism in the Krakeb and the Gnawa music as a whole. That according to some scholars, the foundation of it is the slaves. They needed a way to first of all keep their language, and secondly communicate to their ancestors, because primarily people from West Africa worshipped ancestors. So the whole music was a spiritual thing based on the African traditional, what we call the African traditional religion, which was the religion of the people before they came to Morocco. So it may not have anything to do with the Jewish influence, but probably the naming, because when these people were brought together, there was a fusion of multiple West African cultures and even the cultures of those that had enslaved them. And it's even said that as of today, it's the Gnawa music and how Gnawa music is made. The lyrics of Gnawa music is like speaking in tongues that nobody really understands or is expected to understand what you're saying. That culture, that language is lost. Nobody understands what they're saying, but they are still, because it's become a fusion of multiple cultures. But then at the core of it is still those West African slaves need to communicate to their ancestors. So it might not have anything to do with the Jewish religion at all.
Yeah, thank you for that thought, Emmanuel, and thank you also for the hypothesis or concept that you mentioned earlier. I'm just happy we all share the same sentiment, and also about Now music and the culture of the Now people being a combination of different cultures across different parts of the world. So thank you everyone for your contribution to the conversation so far.